And I will officially welcome you all to our UNT Retiree Association event, where we're going to be discussing some interesting things going on with Texas A&M Agrilife Extension. And here to present on for us is, excuse me, click the right thing here. We have Jessica Small, who's going to be talking to us about the Better Living for Texans initiative and some of the other programs that she's working on. So I think without further ado, Jessica, we'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. Well, welcome everyone. My name is, like Jordan said, Jessica Small. My title is long. It's the Better Living for Texans Extension Agent for Denton County. So most people just say BLT. But I've been here for like a year and a half now, and I love this job because I'm able to present on nutrition as well as do physical activity programs. So since the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of virtual stuff. This is one of my favorite presentations to do, which is MyPlate. So that'll be the focus today. It is not a long presentation, but I'll just ask if you'll hold your questions to the end, or you can type them in the chat as you think of them, and then I'll cover them towards the end. And I think someone's gonna help me with that toward the end. So just be mindful of that. I'd love to answer any of your questions. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, also, by the way, thank you, Dr. Jacobson, for reaching out to me because my schedule for April is kind of blah. It's so boring. So I'm excited to do something. So thank you for that. All right, let's see. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm going to minimize some people so I can see most of my screen. There we go. Okay, so today we'll be talking about MyPlate. MyPlate, it takes the name of the food guide pyramid. That's what it used to be called. Now it's called MyPlate. And so we'll be talking about how foods can affect our health using MyPlate as a simple approach to eating healthy. And there's different components of MyPlate, and we'll go into details about those, as well as how big is your plate. Because everything in Texas is obviously bigger. So we think we need to eat large portions, and we don't, because that leads to obesity and other chronic diseases. So we'll take a look at what our plates should look like. All right, so in Texas, there are 10 leading causes of death, which are listed here. If you'll notice, the ones in blue are the top 5, which are heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. The other ones in white are also causes of death, but they're not as severe. So the ones in blue are obviously the ones that are the top 5 causes of death. And a lot of these, if not majority of them, are all linked to not just to genetics, but also our diets. All right, so what foods do I eat that affect my risk for chronic disease? So if you notice on the left where it says vegetables, fruits, whole grains, fiber, that's what we definitely need every single day, as much as possible. And then if we look over to the right, we have diets high in these numbers, nutrition or components may increase risk. So like saturated fats, trans fatty acids, way too much sodium, too much added sugar. That's why it's very important for us to read the label. If you're grocery shopping, even if you're grocery shopping online, every food item should come with a label. If not, there's always a way to like Google search it, just so you know what you're putting into your body, what you're consuming. If it does say added sugar, that's a no-no. We don't want anything added. Rule of thumb with sugar is that we should not have no more than 25 to 50 milligrams of sugar a day, which is not that much. As well as with sodium, only 1 teaspoon of salt we should have the entire day, which again is not that much, but so many people go over that because almost every food that we eat has salt in it. So we want to be mindful of reading that label, and the lower the number, obviously the better. The impact of alcohol, they're saying, is unclear. I don't really talk about alcohol. I mean, we're all grown here, but I kind of stay away from the alcohol thing. Just a rule with alcohol, of course, the less you consume will be better for you, or none at all. So how do the foods I eat affect my weight? This is good. So there's 2 categories. There's protective as well as not protective. So obviously the protective foods are going to be foods low in calories. So those fruits and vegetables, we love those. Those are good for us. Our body like those. Whole grains as well as beans are key. Now, the ones that are not protected, obviously foods high in calories. And what's tricky is when people see that, let's say a bag of chips, they'll look at the bag and the calories and they'll say, oh, that's not that many calories, but you also have to look at the serving size. So how many can you have, which is equivalent to that many calories. Some people will eat the whole bag. Well, then you've exceeded those calories. So it's important to look at that serving size as well. How many can I have where it's still okay? Foods high in solid fats, which is a lot, especially if you have a sweet tooth. You got to be very mindful and careful with that. Spreads, that goes on your bagel or maybe your toast. With the spreads, I recommend something just really light. If you do a seasoning on a bagel, bagel seasoning is really good. Nutritional yeast is good for you. Avocado toast is very healthy for you. High fat meats and cheese, got to be mindful of that, as far as what type of cheese, what type of meats, because the meat will sneak up on you, especially if you like bacon like me. Like, there's a lot of fat on bacon, but I love bacon. I have cut back tremendously because there's so much salt in there and so much fat. So we have to turkey bacon would be another alternative. And then we've talked about the foods high in added sugars. So those sweetened beverages, my suggestion as far as with beverages, you cannot go wrong with water. But I would say to stop drinking water an hour before you go to bed, unless you want to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, which no one wants to do that. So water is your best friend in cases with that. Soda is obviously, it's not healthy. There's a saying that diet is better, but not necessarily, because those still have a little bit of sugar in it. So just be mindful and looking at that label as far as sweetened beverages. Iced tea, again, be mindful of that. So unsweetened tea is healthy, that's fine. As far as infusing your water, if you don't like the way your water tastes, just bland, infusing it, maybe some fresh fruits. I like to add lemon to my water. That's really good. So those are just some examples as far as beverages that you can still drink and they'll taste good and they're healthy for you. All right, confused about what to eat. At the time when there are so many diets to choose from, what food should I eat to promote the best health possible for me and my family? There are a lot of diets, keto, there's juicing, those are the main ones I hear about. There's so many, there's pescatarian diet, just all kinds of stuff, which I guess pescatarian is all fish, which is okay if that's what you choose to do. But my suggestion is obviously to talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor, so I would always say go there first, your primary doctor. Some people like to do the online doctor thing, which is great because there's a lot of good information on there. Just be careful that you're reading the right stuff. Medline is a really good website to give you all great information on types of diets. And I would just recommend just searching the internet to see which diets work best for you. But we're going to talk about MyPlate and as far as portions and what we should be eating every single day and how much we should be eating every single day. Which brings me to MyPlate. So if you notice on here, the food guide pyramid used to be literally a pyramid and they were all stacked. But now it's called MyPlate because these are the main categories that we need to have, all healthy for us, all good for our bodies. We have fruits, we have veggies, we have grains and proteins, and then you notice off to the side, there's dairy. There's not a place anymore for sugars, which is not saying you can't have sugar, but that's not the focus as far as MyPlate. We want to make sure we're limiting our sugar intake. If you have a sweet tooth, we need to find some other alternatives that are still satisfying that sweet tooth, but as well as, healthy for us. Make sure. All right. So kind of already mentioned this, what's on the MyPlate. So half of the plate is fruits and veggies. The whole, literally half of your plate should be fruits and veggies. Then there's a portion that will be grains, especially whole grains, and we will talk a little bit about that on another slide. And then protein, your meats or your eggs, and then as well as dairy, different types of milk in that category. All right, so focusing on vegetables, if you notice, there are 5 categories that they would prefer us to have in these categories. And if you notice on the left, it says, you know, dark, we have those dark greens. I'm a big spinach gal. I just put it in my smoothies. It doesn't taste like anything, so I'll eat that. That's fine. Just blend it and put it in your smoothie. You're good to go. And you can get your servings in spinach with like, I think it's like 2 cups. So you're good to go with that. Starchy, red and orange, beans and peas, and other. Obviously, those are just the main 5 categories. So what counts for our vegetables? 100% vegetable juice. That's why it's so important to read those cans if you're getting vegetables out of the can, which I always say fresh is the best. Frozen's okay. You just have to be careful because sometimes they have a lot of hidden salt in that. So it just kind of depends on which type of vegetable. So I encourage you to look at that and make sure there's no added salt, no added sugar. Any vegetable really counts, raw or cooked, fresh or canned, frozen or dry. But again, you want to make sure that fresh is going to be the healthier option for you. And just if you'll notice at the store, a lot of stuff that's in season will be up front and it will be on sale. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that. The next half of our plate will be fruit. So these are the things that count. Definitely 100% fruit juice. And it has to say that, it will say that when you buy it. It'll say it on the front. Sometimes the back usually says it on the front, like tomato juice, which is good. Beet juice, my brother drinks that, which I don't really like the taste, but it's very, very good for you. It helps kind of manage blood pressure and keeps it, you know, stable. So it's really good for you. Fresh or frozen, canned, dried, whole, cut, or pureed. So with the whole fruit, there's a lot of sugar in a lot of fruit drinks. So I think the best way is the 100% fruit juice, or just drink water, add those natural fruits to it. So yeah, as mentioned, we want to make sure we're filling half of our plate with fruits and vegetables, which is so important. And there's so many different things you can do. Now, does your whole, like, let's say this plate is for dinner. You don't necessarily have to eat your fruits and veggies all together at the same time. You can eat your fruits and veggies sometime throughout the day. Usually a lot of people do their vegetables for dinner, maybe lunch. Fruits, you can do it. I like to tackle that in the morning. Again, I put mine in a smoothie, but sometimes if I'm running late to work, I'll just eat an apple on my way. So things like that, just try to make sure you get in your fruits and veggies. And it sounds like we need to have a lot, but we really don't. 2 to 2.5 cups of fruits and veggies is what we need for each day. So that's really usually a couple handfuls of different things. With grapes, I will say, they say about 25 to 30-ish grapes would be your serving for fruit. So depending on the size of the grape, obviously the big ones will exceed it, but just normal size grapes if you're a grape person like me. All right, grains, which I like grains. I think a lot of us do because people kind of think that grains are necessarily breads, but not all grains are breads. So 1/4 of our plate will make the grains. And we want to make sure that they're whole grains. And there's so many options. If you notice on here, tortillas, muffins, bread, cornbread, grits, pasta, all of those, just make sure, especially with the pasta, it's the whole grain pasta, because that's going to be healthier for you. And it doesn't really taste that bad. I don't know if you guys have tried it before, but you can always just season it with something that will add that flavor to it, but make sure it's like a seasoning with no salt in it. So, but yeah, tortillas are really good to have for grains because you can do so much with it. You can make it, you can eat it for breakfast, maybe put some peanut butter on there, bananas. You can make tacos, some healthy ground turkey tacos, or you can just put whatever you like on it, something light just as a snack, because it's really lightweight and it's actually pretty good for you. Just make sure it's whole grains. Muffins as well. With the breads, again, you want to go with like the multigrain. White bread is okay. Just I would say use it sporadically, not all the time. I try to get my dad to not have it every single day, but you know, you get to a certain age, you can't really tell, you know, grown people what to do. He's my dad, so he's gonna do what he wants to do. But he's trying to watch the bread intake because it's kind of crazy. But that's just to give you some ideas as far as grains on here. The next portion of my plate is protein. So if you notice on the left, it's the animal type protein, and there's also the vegetable protein. So protein is just really good for our bodies. It's good for our bones. And even if you don't eat meat, there's so many different ways you can get protein in your bodies. Like for example, eggs. Eggs are really good. There's a study that says 1 egg a day will keep you pretty healthy. I don't know how true that is, but eating 1 egg a day can have some benefits. Of course, people like to add cheese and then they add salt and then they add all this other stuff. And it's like, no, just a solid, just even a hard-boiled egg, that's cool, you know, but don't overdo it. So that's the problem. People kind of overdo it. So if you notice, just like with the animal protein, fish and seafood are going to be great for you. Poultry, baked chicken is always advised versus fried chicken. Grilled chicken is good as well. So those type of meats, and then eggs I've mentioned. On the right side, dry beans and peas are good for you, as well as nuts, those walnuts, almonds, so good for you. Pecans, seeds like sesame seeds, chia seeds, amazing for our bodies, and then soy. And these are just some examples. If you notice at the bottom where it says choosemyplate.gov, if you'd like more information on detail, this is a great website, lots of resources, lots of things you can read and print out and just be more knowledgeable about. And then the final category is dairy. So dairy is obviously our milks, our yogurts, our cheese, and calcium fortified soy products. With milk, obviously whole milk is going to have fat in it. So again, it's all about reading that label. I'm an almond milk gal. With almond milk, you can do sweetened or unsweetened. So, and it tastes really good to me. Coconut milk is good. Soy milk, those are going to be your healthier options. Just depends on what taste you're going for. So if you're a whole milk person, just be mindful of how much you're drinking. Dairy, as far as the portion we need, 2 cups of dairy a day. And you can get it in any of these formats. With yogurt, I've noticed that when I was buying just regular yogurt, with the fat in it, it had a lot of added sugar. So I stopped buying it, and now I get the non-fat plain yogurt, which only has like 3-4 grams of sugar in it. So, but again, I put everything in a smoothie. So just be mindful of the sugar intake, because sugar can cause diabetes and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and all of that. So we want to make sure we're keeping that minimal. Different types of cheeses are good for you as well. Any type of, like, you can do the shredded kind or the sliced provolone is not bad for you at all, actually. And then those coarse calcium fortified soy products. So mainly people get their dairy based on the top 2. So milk and yogurt are usually how people get their dairy. And also, with drinking milk, that doesn't mean drink milk with cookies. I mean, every now and then we can treat ourselves, but let's just be mindful of what we're pairing our milk with. So it might be good to just drink it by itself, or just eat something light with it, maybe some oats or even some oatmeal. It's not bad. So this brings me to this slide. How big is my plate? How big should it be? So on average, plates are usually about 10.5 inches in diameter, which is actually kind of big. Downsize to 9 if you can. And if all you have are big plates, just make sure you're not filling the whole plate. Like we don't do that, just because that's what happens in Texas, everything's bigger. And a lot of restaurants and places serve everything in large portions. So don't think everything on your plate, you have to eat it all at once. A good rule of thumb is to just eat 3/4 or even just a half, and then save the rest for another meal or later on. But you don't want to sit and eat all of that at one time. You get really full, and then a lot of times that leads to being, lethargic and sleepy and lazy and not wanting to do anything. It's just not a good feeling. So just make sure the smaller the better. And sometimes when our plates are smaller, then obviously we're going to be in control of how much we're putting on our plates, and we're going to be mindful of that, and we're going to have smaller portions versus having a big plate, having to stack all this food on there that we don't necessarily need to eat. All right. So how big? I've already talked about this slide, but so average plates are 10.5 inches, and usually you can always just search it to see. I mean, if you want to measure it, that's cool too. Just to see what size your plates are, your dinner plates, your lunch plates, etc. Or paper plates like me, because I don't do dishes, but yeah. But another thing I wanted to add about this slide, pay attention to your hunger. A lot of times, people eat because they're stressed, they're bored. Only eat when you're hungry. Just that's the only time we need to be eating. We don't need to eat because we don't have anything to do and we're just. And another thing that I would say is to stay hydrated. Water is filling, and it makes you not eat as much. So I try to have my water bottle here, and I need to finish it. I'm about halfway through, but I try to drink at least 4 of these a day. Sometimes I don't get to that, but it's very filling, and it keeps you hydrated so you won't feel faint or anything like that. And then it also helps you to minimize how much you're eating. So only eat, pay attention to, if your stomach's growling, then yes, you definitely need to eat. But if you're just, sitting around the house, be like, I have nothing to do, let me go eat this, that's going to be a no. So let's just be mindful of that and stay hydrated. And then when you're eating, focus on chewing your food and focus on enjoying your meal. A lot of times people eat in a hurry. So we want to make sure that we're enjoying our food and we're chewing our food and digesting it properly, because that's so important. And remove all distractions. So what does that mean? That means no phones. Okay. If you live with someone, have a significant other or some children, grandkids, etc., have those conversations. That's social health right there. You're taking care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health, you're eating, as well as your social health, you're interacting with other people. So just remove those distractions, because what happens with distractions is we tend to eat more because we're watching a movie or we're watching something on our phone and we're just eating. So just wanted to give you that little tip. All right. So what might my dinner plate look like? So these are just examples. If you notice, they're all highlighting each category: dairy, protein, grains, fruits, and vegetables. And this just shows that some people focus more on one than all 5 of these. So just to give some suggestions, I have some meal examples here. I'm sure you guys know, but these are just some meal examples that I came up with as far as to fulfill this MyPlate. So you could do steamed broccoli, orange segments, egg noodles, and a chicken leg with milk to drink. Now that doesn't sound appetizing to me, but you could switch it up. That's just an example. And I didn't come up with that one, actually. I think my coworker did this one. Yeah, she did that one. The next one I did come up with: baked potato, apple slices, whole wheat roll, which I love rolls, and a pork tenderloin. Or you can do a chicken thigh, baked chicken breast. Or if you don't want to do a meat, you can add some more veggies. That's okay too. Low fat cheese on the baked potato, no butter, no salt, a little bit of pepper. That's one meal. And then another meal suggestion: a corn tortilla casserole with corn and chicken in it. So you can shred the chicken. And then strawberries with yogurt for dessert. That sounds amazing. I might have to do that literally today. So something simple, satisfying your sweet tooth. Honey is always good to put in to add a little sweetness to our desserts as well. All right. Oh, that was actually the end of it. So that's basically the end of my presentation on MyPlate. It's just a little snippet of what MyPlate entails. And we teach this session with my class called A Fresh Start to a Healthier You, where we focus on MyPlate. If we were in person, I'd have you guys create meals, and then we'd share and report out what you could eat for breakfast, what you could eat for lunch, and dinner as well as snacks. So, but since we're virtual, I won't make y'all do that. But that brings me to the end. Hopefully this was informative to you. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves or you can drop it in the chat.
Okay, I'll be monitoring the chat for anything that comes through.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, in the meantime, if anybody wants to go ahead and unmute yourselves, feel free to do that.
And also, I was going to say that I have, let me stop sharing. I have this calendar. It's a 2021 calendar that they gave to us. And I should have already sent this to you, Dr. Jacobson, but I can still get you some of these if everyone wants one. But I like these calendars because it shows all the districts that we cover as far as A&M Agrilife Extension. So I'm in District 4. And each month gives you a recipe and servings and how to fix it, and as well as the nutrition facts. So, and there's some really good ones for April, it's classic macaroni and cheese. Like, who doesn't like mac and cheese? So, yeah, different one, as well as slaws, squash, roasted veggie medley. So, Dr. Jacobson, if you want some of these for the association, I can get them to you since you're in Denton. All right. I think there was
a question about cheeses. I'm a big cheese fan. I have been back to our cheese place gang following our cheese tasting a couple of weeks ago, but I can't take low-fat cheeses. There's no taste.
True.
Is there anything? I've heard that white cheeses are better for you than yellow cheeses. Is there anything to that?
That's true. That's true. Yes. Yeah, that's why I mentioned like provolone. I don't know if you tried provolone or Swiss. That's going to be your best bet.
I'm a big Gruyere fan. You know, Gruyere, is that how you say it?
Gruyere. Oh, yes, yes. 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 I would highly recommend that. Swiss is probably my favorite. Now, cheddar is actually okay. They say if you pair it with like I'll have it with pretzels or fruit, that's okay, but you want to make sure you're not eating too much of it, if that makes sense. But yes, the white is definitely better than the other color. Good question. And someone asked, Lenore, you asked how many milligrams in a teaspoon of salt. I believe it's 2,500 milligrams. So, which is equivalent to, you're welcome, which is equivalent to 1 teaspoon of salt. Yes. Okay.
What's question?
Yes.
What's the difference in white cheddar and yellow cheddar, or Tillamook cheddar, or this cheddar, that cheddar? There are lots of kinds of cheddar.
Yes, and I'm not really sure as far as the difference. I've just known that something about the white has less something in it. I'll have to look that up. I can get back to you on that. But I guess less ingredients as far as fat. But from what I've researched, the white cheddar is just going to be that healthier option because of the less, I want to say the less fat and maybe the less salt. I'm not 100% sure, but when in doubt, white cheddar. I think honestly cheddar is fine. Just I usually do them, I buy the cubed kind, so you're not eating that much of them. Instead of the slice, I'll buy the little cubes that are already cut. Yeah,
they cost more.
I know. Yeah, I don't buy it often, but yeah, if it's on sale, I stack up on it. But yeah, true, cheese is expensive, you're right. So good question though. Martha had a question. What is your opinion on gluten-free and organic? I love organic. Where's Martha? Oh, there you are. Hey, I love organic. And gluten-free is obviously going to be, without the flour. So it just kind of depends on, they say that obviously that, like my doctor says, that's way better for us, but it also depends on your history. And if you have like high cholesterol and things, or something that is increasing your blood pressure and maybe might be in the foods. So certain gluten-free things taste good, but some of them don't. So I am all about organic though. Like I even use organic hair products because I think it helps me with digestion. Sometimes my digestion is not good after just eating foods that aren't organic. So it helps with digestion for sure. And I feel like it's not as filling, but it's still healthy for you. So I highly recommend the organic. Gluten-free, it just kind of depends on what the food is. So like for pizza crusts, gluten-free for sure. Certain desserts, it just depends. If you think that it'll taste better without flour, you know, and then substitute something else, then it might. I would say try it. But it's not something that I'm flocking to. But organic, yes, definitely. I go to Whole Foods. It's probably why I don't have any money now, because I shop at Whole Foods. But I'm all about just trying to be healthy and live a healthy lifestyle. But it is hard cooking for one. So I'm trying to figure out, maybe start meal prepping or whatever. But yes, organic, please. That's good. Highly recommend.
I have a question, if I might.
Sure.
My mom tries to be as healthy as she can, and we are all growing up, we had whole wheat everything. And now she's all about this Ezekiel bread that's come out. What is Ezekiel bread? It's
a certain type of bread. To me, it's kind of similar to like whole grain. It's in that family. I don't know how to say that, but yeah, a lot of people like to use that. I've been noticing that a lot of people like to use it. They're saying that it is better for you, but I don't necessarily agree with it. The ingredients are healthier. I will say that. And you can do a lot with it. Obviously, people do it for French toast. People do it for sandwiches and different things. People just do it for toast. So Ezekiel it's cool. I'm more of a whole grain or whole wheat, like you said. Ezekiel's like the new trend right now, but it is supposed to be a little bit healthier for you. But even if you were to do whole wheat, that's still healthier than just like white bread. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions? Yes, Lenora.
You can get whole wheat bread, but then you can get 7-grain bread and 9-grain bread. And I've eaten Ezekiel bread and I like it. It's frozen, so it's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
But I like it because it has different grains in it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can get, all this 5-grain, 7-grain, 9-grain. Does it matter?
No, because grains are going to be good for you. So if you have a good amount of them, then that's okay. That it won't hurt you. That actually is good for you. So no, it doesn't matter. Yeah, Ezekiel is a little bit of a pain. So or I meant to let her back in.
But it's good.
It is good. Yeah. Yeah.
And grits count?
Yeah, they do. But we're not adding sugar. People add sugar.
Oh, I don't add sugar to grits. No.
Yeah, people add sugar.
Salt and butter, that's something else. But
salt and butter, yes. So just be sparingly, use sparingly as far as with the salt and butter. But yeah, grits do count. Cream of wheat counts. Mm-hmm. Oatmeal counts.
Milk counts, like
rolled oats are going to be good for you. Definitely. Yeah. Good question. Oh, you're muted, Arminta. Dr.
I got bumped off the internet, but I was going to give my 2 cents about Ezekiel bread.
Oh, sure.
I keep it, you buy it frozen.
Right.
And the reason is because it was spoiled. But that's almost all I eat. And I have raisin bread and I have flax and I have English muffins. But it's not just, it's been around a long time. I bought it years ago. It's made with sprouted seeds. It doesn't have very much flour in it. So someone who wants
gluten-free,
gluten-free, it would be good. But I started eating it because my blood sugar was a little high. So it's real low carb, but it has a lot of seeds and things like that are real nutritious. And read the label.
Yes.
Blow you away. Yeah.
Yes.
And I love it. I like the taste and texture.
Right. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yes, Lenora.
We call it twigs and seeds bread. It's good.
Yeah.
Twiggy bread.
Yes. Yes. And it lasts a while too. So depending on how much bread you eat every day, but it can last a while because you can freeze a lot of different things now. That's what I like to do, especially if I buy some sort of meat or something, I just like to freeze it because if I'm not going to cook it the day I bought it or the next day or so, I'll just freeze it and then thaw it out the day before I'm going to cook it. So, but this was just one part of what I teach called MyPlate. We also do stuff on food safety as well as snacking, and I think there's another one. I forget what it's about. I think it's just meal planning or something like that. But we'll do a lot of like series classes. I've been doing one shots just because some people just want the one and done. I understand that. So I'm just grateful our mentor, Dr. Jacobson, let me stop calling you by your first name, reached out to me for this opportunity to do this. But I would love to get you guys, if you want one, a calendar. We're 4 months into the year, so you still have some months to go with recipes on here. I also have some recipe cards, but I'm gonna type in the chat a website for recipes if you're interested in it that we provide, and it's for it's usually for limited income audiences, or anyone that's on a budget. Like I use these recipes too. That if you'd like to check them out, I typed it in the chat. So it's dinnertonight.tamu.edu. And so I think, and then choose MyPlate. I'll type that in there too. If you're interested in learning more about what I talked about today, they have resources on there.
So Jessica, maybe you could send some to the Unter Ollie office in care of Jordan, and then we could run by and pick them up.
Sure.
Because we're not meeting in face to face right now, but we could run by there.
Okay, sure. I'll get with I guess Jordan or some of them and do that. No problem. All righty. No, Jim, I'm not. Jim asked if I'm an Aggie. No, I went to UNT. The best university, right, Dr. Jacobson? So I went to UNT for undergrad, and I went to Texas Women's University for grad school. So I'm an Eagle and a Pioneer. So might go back to get my doctorate. I don't know, Dr. Jacobson. I probably need to have that conversation with you. I'm not trying to be stressed, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, if there are there any more questions, Ollie?
I don't see any in the chat. Does anybody else have any final questions?
Appreciate you guys joining and tuning in. Hopefully you learned something new today and informative.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jessica. We really appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you so
welcome.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.